I find new videos through recommendations, through my subscriptions, through my social media. That's mostly where I find things, on Twitter and Facebook and Minds and everywhere else. If an interesting looking video shows up there, or in the recommendations in the side, that's where I find new videos. And lots of recommendations from other YouTubers as well. Those are the main places. Response videos, oh my god, that would make things so much easier. I really miss them. Yes, people exploited them, I understand why they got rid of them, but for those of us interested in an actual conversation, taking advantage of the interactivity and the social nature of things like YouTube and so on, that was just perfect. I mean, that was really before my time, before I really started doing much of anything on YouTube, but I remember watching them and watching the responses, and yeah, that being a real conversation. That was good. That was something that made it something new rather than just a TV platform in effect. So I really miss that. More controversially perhaps, I liked the integration with G+. I still rate G+, as a social media platform. I still think it's good. Despite the many censorship and NIM wars and everything else that it still had potential, still does have potential. I get a lot of good quality conversations over there, so I miss that too, sorry. I'd say the trend that worries me the most is the trend that we see across other forms of social media, like Facebook, like Twitter, like everywhere else really, and on other sites like Amazon and so on. It's corporate censorship, demonetizing people, delisting their videos, shifting and changing algorithms so that less and less you get to see interesting content, and more you get to see corporate content. Now in the short term that's a winning strategy, I suppose, because they're going to get more money that way, but in the long term you just end up alienating and pissing off your primary content producers and your audience, and in the long term eventually they lose interest. I mean, look at Twitter. Ooh. And secondarily, I guess that you never know what's going on. The ground is constantly shifting under your feet. You don't know what you're supposed to do in order to succeed. The game isn't rigged, it's incomprehensible. It's the glass bead game. Don't think I've done anything particularly drastic for views or subs. Maybe that's where I'm going wrong. Taking the mick out of sticks, perhaps, by taking my shirt off, or mocking Razor Fist, maybe, though in a loving way. I don't know. I don't think I've done anything particularly drastic other than to try and commit to 5 videos a week. Whether I've managed that over the last few months while I've been putting more of a push on this, I don't know. But yeah, like I say, maybe the mistake is that I haven't done anything drastic or clickbaity enough. Suggestions welcome. Originally I wanted to use it more to talk about games and to promote my work, and it just hasn't really taken that line. I'm still passionate about those things, but there's only so much you can say, I find, and those videos aren't necessarily the most popular, so the worth and the point of doing that doesn't seem to be there. That's a regret, because I'd still rather talk about that stuff, but there's just much less interest, and in the moment I'm not as passionate about those things. It doesn't necessarily make for a good video content, me wonking on about a game or a game design process or whatever. Yeah, the occasional video on that kind of thing is done well, like I did one about using your voice when you're games mastering a tabletop game, tips and tricks and how to use your voice to create certain atmospheres and so on, and that did quite well. So I guess that's my regret. And not exactly a regret, but I was hoping for a bit more success by now. People keep saying, oh, we love your content, oh, you're criminally undersubscribed, and yet, in part due to the YouTube bugs, and for whatever other reason that subscription count is very, very slow to climb. For a while I was averaging 2 new subs a day, basically every time I uploaded a video, but the subscriber bug has essentially made me almost stand still in subscribers. So despite that, I've only increased by about 100 in the time I've been really taking this seriously, which is disappointing and regretful. I'm spending quite a lot of time on this that could be devoted to other things, in the hopes of doing it, and or in the hopes of making it successful, and because I enjoy it, which is the best reason to do anything. But I was hoping I'd be a bit more up there than I am already, so I guess I regret spending as much time on it. New software and so on streamline the process, so it's not as much of a bugbear anymore, but I regret that I haven't pushed to be more successful. But honestly, I don't know how I could, so not a lot of help there. A year ago, Game the Gate was still pretty much going. I was probably talking more about lens issues, a bit more generally, I suppose. But it was the same eclectic hodgepodge of stuff that I do now. Sometimes talking about games, sometimes reading book excerpts, odd little projects that just take my fancy at the time. I've got better equipment now, particularly this microphone. I've got better video editing software, and I've gained 300 subs. So that kind of shows what I was saying. If I'd gained 1 sub a day, that would have been 365. But I've dropped 65 of those, mostly due to this bug. So just under 1 extra sub a day. That's how it's changed, I guess. I got a slightly bigger audience and better gear. But otherwise, largely the same. I think I've gotten much better at it, so that's something. Mostly I can't, because as a poor games designer and writer, I do not have much in the way of disposable cash. Here and there I'll sling a buck on Patreon or whatever now and again. Otherwise I just try and favourite and spread the things that I like, talk people up where it's appropriate. That's all I can do, really. Support my Patreon, hint hint. That's a difficult question. On YouTube, I would say success is being seen and watched to some degree. Say, at least 100 people watch what you say per day. I would define that as success. It's an incredibly low bar, but there you go. More generally, I would say success is getting by doing something you like to do. Again, low bar, but that's the truth. What the fuck kind of question is that to ask a suicidal depressive? Check your jollity privilege, shitlord. Am I happy with YouTube? No, I don't like the direction it's going, the corporatism, the mainstreamizing, if that's even a word, of it, the lack of transparency, the bugs with the subs, all of that. Not happy with that. And more generally, no, I'm not happy. When I started, it was all about supporting the other stuff that I did and just having another way to speak out, I guess. Over time that kind of developed, and I work for myself and I work from home, and I don't see a lot of people. I talk a lot by text, so I don't get to use my voice a great deal, except on evenings and weekends and holidays and that sort of thing. And much as it pains a writer to admit this, there can be problems getting across things in text. You don't have your tone of voice necessarily, you don't have hints at your body language that people can pick up on. So getting into a lot of debates and so on, I thought and hoped that maybe putting my face and my voice and my body, such as it is, to what I was saying might help reduce misunderstandings. To an extent that's true, but not as much as I hoped. I think everyone's seen the way YouTube drama can blow up. Fortunately, or unfortunately, I haven't been involved in any YouTube drama yet, which might be a shame because it is a great way to raise your profile. Since then, I've just tried to approach it as its own different thing, where I can practice some of my different skills: narration, reading, video editing, voiceovers, comedy, commentary, all that kind of thing. I've tried to treat it more as its own thing in this past year. I'm trying to add another string to my bow. Things are incredibly difficult for creative people, and have been for some years now. Pay rates have basically been frozen for writing and art since 2005 or so. You can earn roughly the same now as you could then, so accounting for inflation and so on. Wages and stuff have gone down. So I'm trying to add more strings to my bow. I'm trying to write more fiction, though that's incredibly hard to get any traction on. I've started doing voiceover work and audiobooks, which I need to spend more time on. I've started doing YouTube and so forth. I want to add more strings to my bow, more things that I can do. YouTube is one of those. So my motivation now is to hopefully build YouTube up to the point where it at least pays for itself. So I basically need 10 times the subscribers I have now before it really becomes fiscally self-supporting for what I do. So I guess that's my goal over the next year or two, is to continue to build up the YouTube channel and continue to do other things, so that I can be more self-supporting in my work. Just the way the gigging economy and everything goes, if you're freelance or work for yourself in a creative field, it's really fucking hard out there. So I would encourage everybody to support any artists or creators that they like in any way that you can, even if it's just like $1 a month. It all adds up. I'm not begging for myself, I'm begging for everybody. Help out people that you care about. Subscribe to their channels, watch their content, favorite it, chuck them $1 a month on Patreon. Pretty much anyone can afford that. Do what you can to help people out. That would be what I'd say. So why am I doing it? So that there's more I can do. I think that's as good a motivation as any. Don't think it's had a particularly huge effect in either direction. Maybe it's made it slightly better. It gives me more structure to my day, more motivation to make a video and talk about stuff. I feel like I've got an additional outlet. I feel I've got an outlet in which it's easy to understand me and to see that I have a human face. So that's all good stuff, I guess. So on balance, incrementally better. That seems to be all of it. I'm not going to tag anybody because that's a dick move. No one should feel obligated, but if you want to cover these questions as well, you go right ahead. Zang.
Crunchy bass, nutty bass, buttery biscuit bass, acid bass, smack around the face. I like the buttery